A week later, you get one visit from a chaplain who doesn't know much and was coming to deliver a message that I died, possibly. And then another week after that, you get one phone call from command saying, hey, we're keeping him.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember almost begging, like, can you at least send him back? Like, isn't it R&R time? Because that was another thing. We didn't know when you were going to get your R&R. So then I was like, if you're not going to send him to Germany and I'm not going to go there, like, can you at least consider having R&R happen?
So is there anything that stands out, like how you pulled through this time, or for you? I mean, so you had a definitely emotional turmoil for, well, ongoing, really. I mean, even now, almost 20 years later, but any people who helped pick you up, or?
Yes, I credit my the peers that I had that were in my graduate program, who also, a couple of them were personally tied to the military as well, as either spouses or fiancés of military service members. And I was blessed because also in my program was a huge group of chaplains. And so I was very held and loved up on by the chaplains there in the program as well. Lots of prayer. And so that trauma bond, like that forming of like leaning on my community supports there was definitely helpful. And knowing that people checked up on me, that was really helpful. My teachers even in the program were quite compassionate and caring about it, because that school is also like in a place where it has some relationships with the military, so they get that. Like I was already supported in a culture that understood there's like a military lifestyle here. So that was definitely really helpful. And then your parents came to support me for a while. I don't remember how long they were there. And I want to be in full transparency too. I think there's like a level of denial still at some point to like really grasp the sadness, the sadness of something tragic like that happening. And then how many people are also affected by the war? How many people were affected?
I think there's like a theme of things that were, or one theme in all of our talks here is ambiguity. And
yes,
I think this is a good example of, he's not dead, so we don't have, that would be that would be worse, yes. But there's also some finality to that. You can change your life in a certain way, start to heal as best you can and change your life. Or if I was wounded and coming home, and if I needed a wheelchair or a prosthetic, and so, I mean, you kind of had this ambiguity of, hey, you're getting a broken soldier back, but he's not coming now, and we don't know what you're going to get back when you get back.
Yeah.
There's just this broken.
Yeah. I think also another way for me to cope was that
So what do you do?
Yeah, like another way to cope
you don't know
is
what
I
to
don't
plan
know.
for.
I don't know what to plan for, but the only way that I could cope is that I stayed within that world, because then it became more normal to not know answers to questions. And I dove into working with the military population. That became my specialty, right? So like you would hear all these stories, like so many different extremes in between, and that became this thing where I was like, okay, this doesn't just happen to us. This happens to all of us at some point in some way, and we have to help each other. And that's where I was like, I want to help. I want to help this populace. That became my passion, to help people navigate it, because like the first inclination is to just go isolate yourself and to go inward and like not try to reach out. And I saw people doing that. And I mean, at least in my own little counseling space, in my counseling rooms, like I felt like somebody was able to still be real and say what was going on for them. Yeah. So
can you talk a little bit about your Starbucks manager?
Oh yeah. So I remember when I found out that you had shot, and I was just like, wow, was this worth it? Is this worth it? And you just starting to ask those questions and feeling bitterness and feeling like what does this matter, right?
You didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, I didn't think I really signed up for this. And then I was out of classes for like a week. I even called out from work for like a week, and where I was working part-time was Starbucks. And I remember they told me, just come back when you want, just come back when you're ready, which I felt so grateful that they gave me so much grace to like take my time, you know. But my store manager reached out to me, and she asked to speak with me, meet with me for coffee, of course, Starbucks. And so I met up with her, and I was in a place where I was like, okay, I'm going to start coming out of like hiding right now and mourning. And I remember I thought she was just going to give me this like, you know, I'm sorry, and that I'm sorry that happened to you, which I, of course, would have taken that in. But what was really amazing was I came full circle. Something came full circle for me. And she sat across from me. And we're in the middle of nowhere, Texas. You would least suspect it. And she said, I know your husband got shot, and I'm so sorry that happened. And you're probably wondering why he's out there fighting a war and for what cause and whatnot. And but I want to share something with you too, something that happened with me. And I said, okay. And she said, I lost my brother in the Twin Towers in 9/11. And like Sheena, we just both started crying, you know, because I remember you also said like when you wanted to join, why you wanted to join. And that was because of what happened there.
Right.
You know, that you felt really compelled and called to like serve your country and to fight for our country. And I never knew, you know, we never knew anybody like directly from Twin Towers or who had died or was affected by it, right? And here she was sitting across from me in the middle of like with the odds of that were so slim. And for her to then say thank you to me and thank you to you for making that choice to go do that and be in harm's way was just so like, it was so embracing to me. It was so like meant to be there in that moment. And I like understood, and I felt more at peace. And I felt this support, and I felt that things were full circle and totally illuminated. And it was just, it was beautiful. Like it was beautiful in that way.
Well, so a lot of veterans are starting to think about their service, and they ask themselves, like, was it worth it? And
yeah.
But really that question, you know, and that's a nice story of you saying why I joined, but
that might not be the case for a lot of people, right? Like,
was it worth it for you?
You know, I love that question because, and I'm going to get a little like spiritual here because I am like constantly from being a military brat and a child, like because I've moved so much my whole life, and there's like, and found that I was in the role of supporting the service member, right? Like there's this question of like, hey, what is this about? And is it worth it? And like, God, what are you like, what are you showing me here? Right? Like, how is it that I find myself in these
What's your purpose
places and these spaces and, you know, all that. And I do think that like, I think there's like a unique tapestry that I now have because of these experiences. And that tapestry is like a quilt. It's like something that I feel is this calling. Like I wouldn't have known it, right? Like as a quilt, you have these little small pieces and you just have the small piece. And then maybe another time you like add this other piece, right? You don't really know what the quilt's gonna look like until it's all put together towards the end. And I feel like God is showing me like more of the bigger quilt, like towards this end. Like this is all these things, all these experiencing, all your training, like this is where I need you to be this is where I need you to be, like, making your mark. And that feels very worth it to me.